Where do marketers get it wrong when it comes to omni-channel approaches? Tanya.
Mm, That's a good question. I don't necessarily know if B2B in the B2B world is has really embraced the whole omni multi-channel approach. And it's very imperative. I think that they're still looking through the lens of a product led instead of a buyer led. They'll come to us instead of us going to them. And that's where you have to think like the buyer. And
Right.
so instead of putting on call to action, which I saw when I first started working at the SaaS startup, request a demo. Well, who has time for 45 minutes to sit on a demo? But
Yeah.
wait, what if we do a recording of this live demo and they can watch it on their own time? And we put that out maybe on LinkedIn and we put that out on our blog and we put that out into other channels that may have an impact or where we see our potential buyers engaging. Those are the types of things that I believe are still going need to have an impact on the overall business is really starting to think about it from their shoes, from their lens, and thinking about how time is efficiency and how so much discovery they can do now before they even pick up the phone or send an email to the company that they're of interest. Think
Yeah.
about that. And that tightens up the sales cycle in and of itself. In theory and in practice, if you're starting to feed information so the customer is starting to see the credibility, the trust, the solutions, the ease of what you're doing for them, the likelihood of them coming to you is going to be much greater, and you're going to shorten up that pipeline velocity cycle.
Which is the goal that we all have. And I think omni-channel and even the peso model, if you think about it, cut back to what we talked about at the onset of the show, is one of those CPG retail consumer frameworks, if you will, that is slowly spilling into B2B. We
Yeah.
implemented it 10 years ago, quite frankly. So we were
Mhm.
very early adopters in this agency to really the combined omni-channel peso approach, which we call OSEP instead of peso, by the way, because we think it's more meaningful for our B2B clients that you start with owned, then you move into shared, then you move into earned, and then you move into paid.
Yeah.
So then we move that along the omni-channel approach. And that is really where I think success happens. Tony or Tanya, do you have an example of one of your great past roles? Because you both have so many wonderful ones where omni-channel really was the icing on the cake that created the lift that was needed, shortened the sales cycle, and really created the impact that ultimately the board or the CEO was looking for?
I can speak to that one. Um, I have a few, but the one that I saw happen was when I was at Jockey International. And this was in 2012, 2014. So you have to think about back in that time, which was over 10 years ago, but the world was so different. But we were primarily direct, wholesale, and very traditional in our marketing space. And my big opportunity was to drive the women's business. We were selling things, but we were selling them at markdown. And so we weren't positioning ourselves as a strong leader in the sleepwear business. We weren't positioning ourselves as the go-to because we weren't putting ourselves out there in all of the channels that our potential buyer was at. So
Well,
one
and
of
moreover, if you think about it,
yeah,
jockey's position at that time, I assume, or really the perception it had, was that it's men, that it's a men's
exactly,
product. So you're really
exactly.
trying to transition from a men's product to female.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so the whole scope of how we drove the business, the go-to-market strategy was really a focus on digital and really pushing the website and giving the website a lot of materials and tools to help create that story and that narrative of how pieces were versatile, how sleepwear wasn't just you go to bed in it and that's it. They wanted to see it take a step further. And so we created a lot of imagery and a lot of virtual modeling to help with that.